About Musicals. I'm Esme.
And I'm Nell.
If you can hear creaking, it's my bed. Me and Nell are in person, and yeah.
I should take a drink up.
For context, Nell has got a wine glass full of iced tea, and I've given her a comically large straw that I use for my fake Stanley.
The straw is quite literally double the length of the wine glass.
Yeah,
Um, that's really great. We've got goldfish to eat.
I've got goldfish. We're good because we are talking about Gypsy today.
Yep.
Okay, big note. It's been like
2 weeks.
over 2 weeks now since we last recorded.
Yeah. Things have happened.
Things have happened, and you know what? I would like it to be known it was a funny joke that we came up with in January.
In a Starbucks in
In a
January.
Starbucks in January. I thought we were going to say well, Starbucks was like, don't dox us. Um, yeah, in Starbucks in January, we were like, how funny would it be to do Sunset and Gypsy 1 week after the other
And
in
then
the
do the
lead up to the
Tonys.
Tonys? Because next week we're doing Tonys. Um, and then someone had to open their mouth and run it. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to talk about it today.
Yeah. But that's news.
That
Which is
one's-
kind of part of the news. It's a
Yeah,
big part of the
basically
news.
that's what we're gonna talk about it later on in the episode because
It ties into this.
it does tie into the show. I'd be more annoyed if she's. I mean, it's bad that she said it. I'm annoyed that she said it.
Mm.
But I'd be more annoyed if she said it if we'd done Gypsy last week.
If we done Gypsy first.
I've been like, come on, girl. Come on. Come on, Patricia. Anyway, we've got a shit ton of news.
Yeah.
People have been doing shit.
Basically, I was working a lot last week, so we couldn't record.
I was partying, it's fine. And learning to DJ.
Yeah. And then we're like, all right, we'll just record in person.
Yeah. Because Nell's moved between me. Tina, the Tina Turner musical to close.
Not overly surprising.
No. No.
It's a good show,
Mm.
but I'm shocked it has lasted as long as it has. Like, I think it's very entertaining, but
It's done very well to
yeah,
last as long as it has. I mean, it opened in what, 2018?
well, something like that.
So it survived the pandemic. And yeah, I'll be very intrigued to see what goes into the Old Witch because I don't believe it's a
Yeah,
massive theatre.
I'll look it up.
Um, Speaking of tiny theatres,
We're doing a lot of Googling of theatres today.
yeah, we were. It was more for our own, like, how big is this one compared to this one? Yeah, speaking of tiny theatres, who is texting me?
The Old Witch is a 1,200 seat.
I thought it was smaller for some reason. And in my mind it was like 600.
1,203 levels, though. That probably
Interesting.
feels quite small.
So what's tiny? Gilgood.
Mm.
Anywho,
Oh, I want to see how long Tina's been in there. Since 2018, yeah.
knew it.
To be fair, Beautiful used to be in there as well.
What jukebox can go in? That Knight's Tale. That's up in Manchester.
Yeah.
That can go in. Anyway,
There's like the Steps musical going or whatever. Does that have a theatre? Sorry to bring it up.
Lord help me. Lord help me. Anywho, speaking of small theatres, guys, Operation Mincemeat's £100, and I don't really want to talk about it. I made a TikTok talking about it, and someone in my comments, people in comments kept trying to fight me, being like, there's cheaper ways to get it. I was like, I know there's cheaper ways, because I invest time into trying to find cheaper theatre deals. The average person's not going to look at it on a Saturday night, which is a prime theatre going time, and see £100, and then go, oh, maybe I actually won't go to the theatre. Also, if you don't think £100 is expensive, are you a sigh upset by Big Mincemeat?
It's also just, I get that there are cheaper ways to go and see the theatre,
Yeah.
but as people who rely on those cheaper ways, it's often shit. You can't see, you can't hear. The
Or it's
fact
like,
that those same,
or it's like you can see, you can hear, but you have to invest time into getting those ways, and you have to know where to look.
yeah.
And you also have to be young or like have a lot of flexibility. Like me and you can sometimes go to the theatre at like a random Wednesday
Yeah, we can
matinee.
go to like a midweek matinee
Mm.
and sit in like the balcony, and it will cost us 20 quid, and that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But most people cannot do that because
Mm-mm.
they have work.
They have lives unlike us lot.
So if you wanted to go and see this amazing new musical that's got like a million five-star
Hmm.
reviews
Hmm.
that everyone is talking about how great it is, and you think, all right,
One the
great,
Olivia
won the
is
Olivier,
on Broadway.
and you're like, all right, perfect. This Saturday after work, I'll go take a look.
I might treat myself and the family.
And you see, oh, £100.
Mhm.
Well, surely not all the seats are £100.
No, £100.
Every single one is £100.
It's about they're selling restricted view seats for £100 as well. That really
Mm.
grinds my gears. Like, I'm not saying don't sell any seats for £100 because every single theatre sells seats for £100. What I'm saying, don't sell every seat for £100.
It's the thing of no one has ever given a reason for this pricing.
They did, being like we need it to make back our costs because we're in a small theatre. But at this point, I would say move to the Aldrich.
Either move theatres or put out home and be like, oh, cost of living crisis. Like what they did when they were like, cost of living crisis, we need to increase our prices. Say we are going to go back to like tiered seating prices.
You know, if they were selling like the prime seats in the house for like 175, I'd be like, that's expensive, but it's the prime seats in the house.
Yeah.
And even selling a couple down the back for like £30.
Even if it was like, oh God, the balcony seats are still 30 quid, I'd be like, that's doable. You and me, I would be like, if we need to go see Mincemeat again, let's go for 30 quid to the
Do we
balcony.
have toyed with seeing Let's Meet again? We're like, now that we know what we're going to go see, and we know it's probably not our thing, do we go see it again? And then we're like, actually, we can't afford it. And like, Miss Me fans are being priced out. I've been noticing this for a while, that they have been effectively priced out.
Mm.
And that's sad. They should go see the show if they want to.
I don't think it's the thing we used to say of that they were using that group discount.
Yeah. It's still there, the group discount. And same with the family discount, but how do you enforce that? Because not everyone's gonna have the same surname because of marriages and like complex family situations.
Yeah.
Like I would only be able to go with my immediate family. And not everyone has an it's the whole thing blows my mind.
I think it's one of those things that the OG like real mincemeat fans were using that group discount and going on the weekdays when all of the prices were lower to go and sit front row.
Yeah, they were going like the Monday or the Tuesday, but the Monday and the Tuesday have gone up in price.
Yeah.
They're like now 60, which is still a lot of money for a
Yeah.
theatre ticket.
And then you look at that compared to a show like Benjamin Button, which now has this whole like solo theatre going thing, whereas now these fans don't need to wait for 10 other people to want to go as well and have the time off and the money to go. They could be like, fuck it, I want to go see Benjamin Button. I'm going to go drop like 30 quid on a ticket to sit in like the balcony.
They have rushes. They have, I use the data, so they have their own rush on their website, which is a bit like a week in advance or something. And they also have tickets starting from like £30.
I think that's the thing of if mincemeat was cheaper or had any kind of like tiered ticket system.
I wouldn't be as mean on it,
Yeah.
I don't think.
And also I think I would really, really want to go back because now that I know
Same.
that it's not my thing, that I'm
Same.
not ever going to give it a 5-star review.
I want to know what makes it tick, and I want to know why people think
Yeah.
it's good.
I think I could go in and be like, oh, actually, I do get it. I think this bit's really good. I think that bit's really good. I just
I
in
don't
with
personally,
the
yeah, I don't
expectations.
personally think, personally not to my taste, but as a piece of theatre, it's very effective.
Mm.
That's how I want to go and evaluate it. However, we've been priced out, and say there's a lottery, go! I've been entering that lottery, trust me.
In fairness, we were never priced in. My mum bought us.
That's the thing, we were never even priced
We were
in.
never going to go see it. And then my mum bought us.
Because we wanted to go do
Because we
investigative
complained
journalism. Well, you did the complaining. I mean, I egged you on from afar. Anyway. The shit of it is cheaper to see it on Broadway where running costs are higher. Even the bottom lowest ticket price is $80. That's what? 60 quid?
Yeah. And cheapest night is now like 50 here.
Guys, Avalon, whoever it is producing it, get your shit together. Go see it on tour, go see it on tour. Okay.
We're from London.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not touring anywhere near us. We went past the theatre it's going to today. I was like, yeah, it's gonna slap here. I'm not going, but
they'll love it.
they'll love it. Something happier. Beetlejuice to return.
Incredible for me.
Yeah, big news for now. Um,
But
it
can you bring it to the West End?
yeah, it's always Beetlejuice to return to Broadway. Beetlejuice to return to Broadway because twice now they put out their headline. It's never Beetlejuice to come to the West End because I don't think there's the big enough theatre for it. Yeah, open. Um, Hannah Dodd and Rob Madge start in Cabaret.
Big.
Big.
Need to go see it.
We just keep entering the Cabaret lottery. Cabaret have an easy to enter lottery, and I'm still kind of mean on them on their ticket prices, but I see where the money goes with Cabaret because there are two companies, and it is a full theatre renovation, and it is.
It's also, I get why the most expensive tickets are the most expensive. I still think they're too expensive.
They still taste for
I
£30.
Yeah, I get why they are the way they are.
Mm. You know.
Mincemeat,
Uh,
why?
West End Live lineup.
We will not be. I will not.
I'm not going. I'm busy.
Boo.
Sorry, guys. It's Father's Day weekend. I've got things to do. Um, this is big for me. Um, so Next to Normal have had a big week for them, bless them. The Cast album came out. If anyone would like to know how I listened to it, hungover on this very bed, and I spent a lot of time just like lying, listening to it as God intended. And then Taylor Swift announced that she bought back her masters, and I got the Swiftie Zoomies, and we're not going to talk about one of my most streamed Taylor Swift song of the week is.
No.
She did bungle it when she
Yeah.
recorded it, so it's only my right that I go back and listen to it. The first song I listened to was Sparks Fly, and I tweeted freedom. But anyway, then they announced that the Next to Normal Pro Shot will be hitting UK cinemas, which is massive for me. I will be in attendance because we did find a cinema close to us. Because at first you were like, "There's none in London," and I was
Yeah,
like,
I looked, and the closest cinema to London was like Blue Water, and I was like, "That's ridiculous. That cannot be true." I don't know if my like laptop was just glitching out on it.
"No, that sounds like something that would happen." They'd be like, we're only going to do like the far out ones, and then we're going to add the London ones later."
Yeah.
Because I think it was the same for the Waitress Pro Shot.
Yeah.
Because like I looked, we didn't go see the Waitress Pro Shot because it was the weekend of the Eras tour, so I was busy being a Swiftie hand heart. And there was like none, and then I looked like a week before, and there were like one really local to us.
Yeah.
So I reckon something like that might happen.
We might have to go and see it on 9/11.
The joke we've been making.
Like that's why I pulled a face when you said it's gonna hit the cinemas.
Stop making, stop lining me up for a 9/11 joke, love. Um, American Psycho is going back to the Almeida, and Josh O'Connor is doing a play. Basically, about Almeida.
Almeida is booked and busy.
They announced their season, and I'm like, the Almeida have an affordable tickets program.
Yeah.
I would go see the American Psycho musical. I don't think it's supposed to be amazing.
No, I meant to my sister to go see it.
I'll go.
No, you're not allowed to. Not with my sister.
I'll go by myself.
Okay, good. My sister's a big American Psycho fan, so I might send her there with an
Send her that
iPhone
way.
camera.
With a professional bootlegger that we found on the street.
Yeah.
David Hunter and Grace Mamat to join 13 going on 30 up in Manchester.
Fun.
I love the movie. Please don't fuck it up. Now, this one was big.
This news was so massive, we rewatched Hamilton.
On Tuesday, me and Nell sat around, we were watching Hamilton.
Sat around, we laid in
Laid
bed,
in my bed, tucked up, watching Hamilton like it was our Super Bowl.
I just come off a 4-hour journey to get here.
Yep.
3 of those on a coach.
Yep. That coach is particularly hellish.
Yeah, someone, I don't think I told you this, someone had clearly, like, gotten off a plane, gotten on the train to Victoria,
Yep.
and then got straight onto the coach.
Yep.
And then proceeded to take their shoes off and keep them off for the entire coach journey, and it stunk. And it was, it was really adding to the experience. Just wait until we get there and I can watch Hamilton.
Did someone lower their seat?
No.
That happened to me.
But someone glared at me when like half of the seats were empty and I had my bag on the seat next to me. And I was like, why do you, as a 40-year-old man, want to sit next to me on this coach?
Yeah.
Let's discuss.
Let's have a discussion. Um, but this is massive for us. We were taking bets as we were watching what are they going to perform. And at first I went, oh, they're going to do Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. But then I realized Lynn's not in that.
Yeah.
And it'd be weird to do the opening. Because it's everyone. Guys, it's everyone except for Anthony Ramos. We'll talk about it more next week, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it will have happened by the time this one's out.
Yeah, guys, let us know. Actually, don't let us know. We'll probably already watched it
We'll
about 10
watch it.
times. Also happening at the Tonys, no boot performance.
Which people are angry about.
Yeah,
They're trying to stereotype it.
they're trying to stereophonic it, which I love that that's a word that we're saying. Like, oh yeah, we're stereophonicing it. However, conventional wisdom, or the way that it works is you get offered to perform if you're nominated for Revival or Best Musical. And Boop did miss out on Best Musical. However, I feel like the waters have been muddied this year because Real Women Have Curves and Just in Time are allowed to perform.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not a Tony Awards producer. That's not my job.
I'm pretty sure you can pay to perform. And then
Yeah,
people
so
were like, Secret's
apparently,
too broke. And then
Boop
Jasmine
did
and Amy were
Boop
like, we're not too broke.
Boop did pay to perform because they could really use that advertising, much like Real Women Have Curves, and I'm so happy Real Women Have Curves are being able to perform. Um, I don't know what the solution to this problem is. I don't know what. Also, I'm also like I don't know what people expect to happen with this petition because the stereophonic performance was like a minute and a half. I don't know if they had the time to give more. Maybe there was a bidding war.
Mm.
I don't know. Um. Oh, Audra and Jasmine Amy Rogers tied for the drama desk,
Massive.
and Jack Malone also got a drama desk.
Yep. Jack Malone's getting a Tony.
He's winning a Tony. Burlesque cast announcement, guys.
Anything else you want to say on that?
I feel like I have to do investigative on the ground reporting from Burlesque. Like you know what I mean.
Yeah. Next one too.
Oh, this is big for me. These two are big for me. Chess Revival was finally announced after like 10 years of Tim Rice every year going, Chess Revival soon,
I really want
Chess
to do
Revival
a
soon.
revival.
Anyone want to do a Chess Revival? I'm here. It finally happened. And Leah Michelle's in it.
Yeah.
Adam Tveit's in it.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Christopher is in it. And unfortunately I do need to go see it. Because I realized I do need to go see Leah Michelle in the musical about the Cold War.
Yeah.
Um, with music by Rice and a guy from ABBA.
Yeah.
Like that seems like something I need to get involved in. This is also big for me. Ragtime Cast was announced. We already knew Casey Levy is Mother, but we already knew that. Joshua Henry is House Walker, and Brandon Rennet was Tata. They announced some further casting, and it looks great. And anyone, Lincoln Center. I know you're a non-profit, but you would be making my life if I could go see Ragtime. Although I don't know whether or not I should be allowed to go see Ragtime, because I will start crying the second the score starts. I watched a clip of Audra during Wheels of the Dream with Brian Stokes Mitchell this week, and I started crying. It was fine. I'm fine. James,
Read it out.
I wrote this down. James Corden to terrorize London and New York City. He's doing plays, guys.
Yeah, he's going back on the stage.
Well, his show's over, so he's got to go do plays. Um, interactive D&D show.
Yeah, I get the intent. To be fair, I just think this isn't really one for us. I like D&D. I watch a lot of Dropout D&D.
Mm-hmm.
I just fear that this particular type of show isn't really one that we're going to be interested in.
I just like don't care.
Yeah. You know, if you want to go see it, I'm happy for you. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
We will not be in attendance.
Yeah. Moving on. Um, Gone from the North Country to go on streaming. I unfortunately feel like I might watch this.
Mm.
Ride the Cyclone UK premiere. This is big for us. It's like they knew we were going to be back in London next year.
Yeah,
So like, let's just load them up with the hits to stop them from thinking about existential crises. You know?
exactly.
Like my first week back, I'm gonna be seeing some banger theatre. Um. Anyway, Elf to tour the UK or America? The UK or
I
America?
actually do not remember.
One of them, probably
Elf
both.
going on tour, surprising no one.
Borg Family Drop. Wicked Part 2 trailer!
It was really good.
It was really good. I love it. I love Wicked. I love Act 2 of Wicked. Soda Scout.
And we're not going to elaborate on that any further. I wrote it down. I was like, yeah, we can talk about this. No, we can't.
Last week
I've got nothing to say.
I was out.
I've got nothing to say about that man.
Okay. We'll leave it to Tom Francis updates.
Tom Francis, follow Tom Francis updates on Twitter.
So funny.
Um,
They are one of the funniest accounts on
like
Twitter.
the best account on Twitter.
I'm
They are clearly such a massive fan of Sunset Boulevard and Tom Francis, and for that reason they're furious all the time because
it's the bane
that
of
damn show and that damn actor are just like fucking them up.
the bane of their existence. Um, I'm so excited for their Tony coverage.
Oh, absolutely.
But I remember where I was when the first Soda Scout review dropped. I was in a website.
Which just makes it better.
Yeah, you sent it to me. Um, Now this one's also big for us, and I was glad Nell was in my house so I could force her to watch her and watch it and watch her reaction. Guys, we have video of Andrew Weber and Rachel Zegler meeting.
Which was like in a VR.
Also, guys, it's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad because
Get ready, me. To go and
so when I go
Rachel Zegler.
when I say Rachel Zegler and Evita, guys,
Go follow us on TikTok so you can watch Esme. Get ready with me as I
come with me to go see Rachel Zegler and Evita. Like,
getting a couple of letters there.
when have I ever said those letters though?
And when have I ever said those letters though?
Exactly.
Am I bothered?
Am I bothered? Am I actually bothered? No, it's gonna be so bad. Like those are two sounds that I struggle to say right next to each other. Um, I love to see random videos of Andy just up to shit.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite genres.
I'm always happy to see him alive and well because sometimes I do think he might be dead.
You-
Like he disappears enough, but it's like when on Twitter it's Team ALW a couple like too many times in a row. And I'm like, Andy,
Guys, he's died.
he's still there.
No, I feel like they tell us if he died.
I reckon they might keep it a secret for a bit.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like it's one of the things he wouldn't want the whole world knowing immediately.
I feel like he would.
No, he'd want to wait until like it's like if he died today, I don't think. Oh no, actually, maybe they would. I was gonna say because like
and then Evita
it would be
picking up.
overshadowed by the Tonys, but I think if he died like the day before the Tonys,
I think they might cancel them.
yeah. But imagine if he died the day before the Tonys and Sunset Boulevard lost.
That is an evil thought. That is an evil thought.
Like, what would they do?
What would they do? But no, Sunset would probably get a sales boost. Evita would get a sales boost. Like, Phantom would be sold out for months.
That's the thing is, I think he might fake his death.
The ghost broke. He's faking his death.
I reckon he got close after Bad Cinderella.
Oh yeah, he did get quite sad. I reckon he was quite suicidal after Bad Cinderella. I'm also gonna let you do the next one.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Tom Felton, the most unemployed man in the world.
So, context, we have written down Tom Felton that shit.
Yeah. Tom Felton, the most unemployed man in the world, is going into The Cursed Child on Broadway as Draco Malfoy.
Like,
If you don't know who Tom Felton is, lucky you.
I honestly
He
kind of
played
didn't
Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies
until
when
he
he was
got.
10.
I didn't until he got on TikTok and started making it
It is kind of unironically his only personality trait.
Everyone's issue.
Yeah.
Because fun fact, I've never seen a full Harry Potter movie or read a book.
It was great. I mean, I get to explain things to her for the first time. I've been telling her plot points, but just slightly lying, and she doesn't know.
And then we start talking about young Sheldon.
I compare Harry Potter to Young Sheldon a lot. Because Young Sheldon's really good.
Sheldon's
and
really
Harry
good.
Potter isn't.
You know, it's
We had about a 20-minute conversation being like, and then in Young Sheldon.
Then, like, because like we were in like kind of a busy part of the city, random shit just kept happening, and at one point, Nell just went, "I'm trying to talk about young Sheldon."
It's great.
We're having a great time, guys.
We need to hang out more.
We need to hang out more.
But yeah, it's kind of. I think if it was anyone else,
Mm.
it would be maybe kind of interesting. But then I think about even that more, and I'm like, no, actually, it fucking wouldn't be.
Well, no, they wouldn't do it because they have lives and jobs.
They wouldn't do it. Like, I think if like Daniel Radcliffe went, yeah, go ahead. I think if Daniel Radcliffe went into the Cursed Child, I would actually just be furious with him.
Yeah. But also, he just wouldn't.
He wouldn't. That's the thing.
Because he hates J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Like any good person does.
Yeah. And I think with this, it's, you know, this is a bold thing to say. I think this is a good thing because it proves that the Cursed Child on Broadway is flopping and flopping hard.
And here's the thing. I don't want people to be employed because I do think it employs a lot of people.
Yeah.
However, I also don't want us to be lining the pockets of J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's pretty good for like kids. It has quite a lot of like young people and like kid roles in it.
Yeah, sure.
I, however, think that there are other shows.
There's something more interesting we can be doing with that.
If you want to go and watch American kids do bad British accents, Matilda.
Guys, just put Matilda back in the palace. I know the palace is like a cursed venue.
But like, come on. Anything but Harry Potter.
Put Ragtime there and have it fail again.
Yeah.
Please, God.
Yeah. It's stupid as hell.
Tom
Felton.
Tom Felton, that shit. And also like the fact that Tom Felton, that shit, has become a like thing, like a colloquialism almost. Yeah. Sunset and John Proctor's Villain Extended. I've been manifesting this. This is big for me. Big for me. Big brain plan you guys won't be able to comprehend. Anyway. On that note, I might just grab the mic and talk through this.
Go ahead.
Time to talk about Gypsy, guys.
Scroll down. We just did not talk about Patti LuPone in that bit at all, like we said we would.
I thought we were going to talk about Patti LuPone.
No, I said we were going to bring it up in the news.
We did. We said we were going to talk about Patti LuPone at the end.
Sure.
I thought we were talking about her at the end.
I thought we were saying a thing happened with Patti LuPone.
Oh yeah, we said that at the start. News. Yeah.
No, like saying Patti LuPone did an article.
Oh, yeah.
And we are going to talk about it more later. Patti LuPone did an article, and we're going to talk about it more later.
Yeah. Gypsy, a musical fable, important, is a musical with music by Jules Stein, lyrics by Stephen Sondheim, and a book by Arthur Laurents. Never forget that, guys. It is based on the memoirs of Gypsy Rose Lee, who was born Rose Louise Horvick, who was born in 1911, we think. Although she claimed to be younger at points in her life, her sister June would be born 2 years later. After the breakdown of her parents' relationship, her mother, Rose, would set out to make a performer out of Louise, but Louise had no talent at all. She could not sing or dance like her sister. However, her sister June could dance on point at the age of 2. Like, there are photos of like baby June, like on point as like a toddler.
Jesus.
It is mental. Rose's father, who they were living with at the time, would arrange a concert at his lodge hall, and soon baby June began appearing regularly around Seattle and would gain the attention of Alexander Pantages, who would come to Seattle in 1920 and build theatres up and down the coast. Soon she would get launched in vaudeville and perform in Hollywood movies. Meanwhile, Louise would be in Seattle and attend school. When she was 7, she joined them permanently. Neither girl had any more schooling. At the height, the act was pulling in $1,500 a week on the Orpheum circuit. And Dainty June was a powerhouse with top billing and often stopped the show. Mama June taught the girls to lie about their ages, to, um, with torn officers and railway conductors, steal blankets and sheets from hotels, and sneak them out without paying. The girls would practice shoplifters. Um, Mama Rose would also sabotage acts and was a masterful at cooning well-wishers out of money. With the gentle but brave single mother act. In the late 20s, vaudeville was dying due to the rise of film. However, with theatre owners finding that they could no longer combine a long vaudeville program with a now longer movie, so they had to reduce the amount of acts. When June was 13, although it's believed that she was actually older, around 16, she would elope with Bobby Reed, one of the New Boys songsters. Rose is thought to have had jammed a gun into Bobby's chest and pulled the trigger, but the safety hatch was on. As you do. By this time, vaudeville was dead, and the act was renamed Rose, Louise, and her Hollywood Blondes. This would be where they would work in their first burlesque house in a Missouri theater in Kansas City. This is where she soon realized that she could be a star without any talent at all. She would soon manage to pull away from the pack with humor. By 1931, she was playing inside New York at the Insky. She became the toast of society. It would be this point where she would adopt her stage name, Gypsy Rose Lee. She recited witty monologue in a low singing voice and cultivated an accent as she stripped. But she got big laughs as she dropped pins and held her costume together with to the tuba with pinkling sounds, and fussily straightened the crooked back bow on her nipple with an "oh dear." She revealed actual little flesh, ending the act draped coyly in the curtain. The act was already more about comedy than sex. Men and their wives were now in the audience. Meanwhile, Dainty June, now billed as June Havoc, had worked her way back from obscurity. After her smash performance in Rodgers and Hart, Pal Joey 1940, she went on to a longer distinguished career in movies and Broadway, where she played in Shakespeare and Sheridan and musicals such as Sweeney Todd, by Stephen Sondheim, and Annie. Madame Rose would die in 1954. Her last words threatened her daughter Louise, promising to drag her daughter to death with her. In her later years, Rose is thought to have run a lesbian boarding house. One of her guests was shot at a party. The verdict was suicide, but Lee's son, Eric, Gypsy Rose Lee's son, Eric Preminger, was quoted in a Vanity Fair article saying that the victim was Rose's lover and that Rose had killed her in front of many witnesses after she made a pass at Gypsy. According to Rose's sister Belle, a Seattle doctor who saw Rose on a home visit, was crazy and dangerously so, harassed and blackmailed both of her daughters, demanding money and gifts, although she had all well provided for, and turned up at the performances dressed shabbily, claiming to be ill and poor. They communicated with her through their lawyers. After Rose's death, Lee was free to exploit the sensational story of her childhood without fear of a libel suit from her mother. Her 1957 memoir, Gypsy, was an instant bestseller. Lee, however, was not a reliable narrator. She changed some unpleasant facts, dramatized, and put a spin on the horrors of her life on the road with Madame Rose. She once told her sister, "Without my wit, Mother was just one corny song with a boring lyric." Havoc's tough 1959 memoir, Early Havoc, paints a much darker picture. Yeah, so, June was like, "I'm writing a memoir about our lives as well. You're not the only one who gets capitalized on this." Yeah. Yeah. Which is fair enough. They both have lived a very interesting life, and I'd be very interested to read both of their memoirs.
Yeah.
Producer David Merrick stumbled upon a chapter from Gypsy Rose Lee's memoirs in Harper's Magazine, intrigued by the story. He approached Lee for the rights. Lee had been approached to make it into a film for $200,000. However, she would sell the theatrical rights for her book for $4,000 against a percentage of the gross. She would later say, "It was a risk, but if the show is successful, I'll get the royalties for the rest of my life as well. And it'll be much more, I can't say as much as when I sold it as a film." David Merrick would find out that Ethel Merman was interested in the memoir by Gypsy Rose Lee. Jerome Robbins had just won a Tony for his choreography for West Side Story and expressed his interest in the project, proposing Leland Harwin as a co-producer. Merrick and Harwin sought the talents of playwright Arthur Laurents, again, West Side Story, to craft the book, who initially hesitated until he recognized the central theme was parents living vicariously through their children's lives. A young Stephen Sondheim, coming off of the lyrics from West Side Story, was eager to take on the role of composer as recommended by Arthur Laurents. This poet presented a conundrum. The show revolved around the legendary Ethel Merman, who was reluctant to gamble on a young, untested talent.
Mm.
Okay, Ethel Merman. Despite Lawrence's endorsement, Merman insisted that a seasoned composer she'd worked with before, Jules Stein, with Sondheim only providing the lyrics. This was not interested to Sondheim until he was encouraged by his mentor, Oscar Hammerstein, to seize the opportunity to write for a star. Working on Gypsy with Laurents in a character-driven script, Stein's melodic prowess and Sondheim's concise lyrics provided to be a positive experience for all involved in the show, and it came together quickly over just a few months in late 1958. Gypsy Rose Lee would play an integral role in the creation of the Broadway musical, while she granted playwright Arthur Laurents creative control on the narrative. Her presence was integral throughout the pre-production process. Lee understood the art of storytelling, and she allowed Laurents to craft a compelling theatrical version of her early life, valuing the power of captivating tale over the strict adherence to factual accuracy. The production was jeopardized by objections from June, who at one point hired a lawyer. She felt that the story was full of lies and falsely depicted her as a no-talent kid and the heavy who runs off with Louise's boyfriend. Eventually, she relented and some small changes were named. The full title, Gypsy, a musical fable, was in concession to June. Guys, June lived until 2010. Like, June saw all but one Broadway production of Gypsy.
I fault her for like wanting to have a say in it.
Yeah, you can't fault her for being like, guys, you kind of portray me wrong. And millions of people are gonna see it.
Like wrong, it's kind of badly.
Yeah! Like, if everyone's gonna, like, hear, like, if everyone's gonna hear a version of my act.
Can we at least have it like seem good?
Yeah! Can I not go down in history as a bad child star? The show ran 3.5 hours in its Philadelphia tryout due to Robbins' insistence on using juggler, acrobats, and comic in production numbers, which were eventually cut. It would open at the Broadway Theatre on the 21st of May, 1959. Review. So the one review I was able to find was the New York Times. I've been reading a lot from the New York Times because they are really good at archiving their stuff. Other websites, not so much. The last musical comedy of this season turns out to be its best. As a production, Gypsy hangs together with professional ingenuity that gives Ethel Merman something responsive to work with. While she acts the part of a woman with an informidable personality, she is given an inadmirable performance as an actress and a singer. Casting is perfect. Not since Annie Get Your Gun and Call Me Madam has she played a character with such condensed vitality. Sorry, not virality. That wasn't a word yet. In the musical comedy, this forbidding aspect of her personality is duly noted, but it's difficult to feel sensuous. What is that word?
Censorious.
Censorious about any character that Miss Merman absorbs into her unique blend of heartiness and drum major singing. As Miss Rose, Merman fights everyone for her two daughters. During the most robust part of the evening, which is the first, concludes in the performance by fighting for herself. Her final number, written with dramatic versatility by Jules Stein, and a triumph for the character, actress, and the show. As the curtain descends on Miss Merman's most dazzling moment. Could you imagine watching Gypsy for the first time, not knowing anything about it, and then getting to the end and hearing Rose's done? I think your brain would break. Because, like, now everyone knows, like, oh, she gets to the end and she sings this epic song. She's not afraid of vulgarity. There is something confidently comic about the character of Mrs. Rose, who cheats, cajoles, and circumvents because we know that the opposition is doomed. And that is the way Mrs. Merman will save not only Gypsy's career, but the show. When the libretto begins to be affected in its final scenes, she brings it down to earth with a bang. In comparison to the other books this season, Mr. Lawrence is realistic and enjoyable. Most of it is exorbitant cartoon of small-time show business of the 20s and 30s, when Hollywood was publishing sleek photography for fantastic routines of vaudeville. Under the production of YourWrongAboutMusicals Robbins, and all the various departments of Gypsies come to life in the same style of slapdash amusement. For Gypsy is a thoroughly professional musical. To a good theme, it adds a spontaneity of a well-staged show. Nothing is stuck on. Enjoyment comes at the core of a professionally written script and score. There is top-flight professional at the head of the cast. Miss Merman keeps the whole show tense and bright. It will be nominated for 8 Tony Awards, being Best Actress in a Musical for Ethel Merman, Best Featured Actor for Jack Coleman, Best Featured Actress for Sandra Church, Best Conductor, which used to be an award, and Musical Director, Best Costume Designer, Best Director for Julian Robbins, Best Scenic Design, and Best Musical. So not win any of them. Do you want to know what beat it? Frello and The Sound of Music in a tie. Yeah. However, it would win a Grammy for Best Musical Theatre Album. In the summer of 1972, when a producer was in Los Angeles with Follies, the show stage manager Fritz Holt and his partner Barry Brown were in the process of financing the first London production of Gypsy, starring Elaine Stritch. I haven't got this man's full name written down. Chef Kurt had always been more interested in the business side of the theatre. He asked Fritz to join him in raising the money of the show. By the time rehearsals started, Kurt had raised over 25% of the 400,000 capitalization. However, it would open in London with Angela Lansbury and not Elaine Stritch. Drama. Mama Rose, the mother of all stage mamas, Stritch saw the rehearsal of the original Broadway show and said, and started bawling right there. I said, I mean, the nuances of that goddamned thing, to see it all, really feeling of the mother and daughter like that. Oh, it's terrifying, isn't it? Terrifying. She had been a standby and tour replacement for Ethel Merman and in Irving Berlin's Call Me Madam, but with the brazen manner of powerful belt. She was suggested to be Merman's heir apparent. Plus, Stritch related deeply to the Gypsy themes of show business as a way out. Lawrence, who had written the book, was all for her playing the part. Elaine is a performer. She loves audiences. Although Stritch was attached to the West End production, producers couldn't raise the necessary funding against her name. Ultimately, the change was because of ticket sales, and they were like, the British public, you know. No, Angela Lansbury. Yeah. So they'll come see this new musical that no one's ever heard of called Gypsy with her. Because no one knows Gypsy in the UK. Never. Then they would do a 24, then they would transfer to Broadway. Um, they would open at the Winter Garden Theatre, where they would be nominated for Best Actress in the Musical for Angela Lansbury, Best Featured Actress in the Musical for Zhang Christie, and Best Director for Arthur Lawrence. Yeah, guys, Arthur Lawrence is going to start directing every single production of Gypsy apart from like two. And you'll know why he's not directing the current one? Because he's dead. If, as a ghost, he would like to still be directing Gypsy. That is the trees outside. Yeah. They would only win. Yeah, they would only win one Tony, which is Best Actress in a Musical for Angela Lansbury. They would not win revival since the category didn't exist at the time, because I guess there wasn't enough musicals for it to be a constant revival. Um, it would close in 1975 after 120 performances. For the 30th anniversary of Gypsy, they revive it again, this time starring Tyne Daly. They would go on tour for 6 months before opening on Broadway in October 1989 at the St. James Theatre. Frank Rich would say, if someone asked me to, for the New York Times, sorry, would say, if someone asked me to name the best Broadway musical, I'd gladly evoke for any side of the debate embracing Guys and Dolls, My Fair Lady, Carousel, Porgy and Bess, and well, you know the rest. But I've always had one choice in the category of favourite musical. It's Gypsy. I sat in on the scorching new revival starring Tyne Daly and was once again swept up in the goosebump-raising torrents of laughter and tears. I realised why, if anything, this 30-year-old show keeps improving with age. Gypsy may be the only great musical that follows the audience through life's rough familial passages, a wrenching tale about tyrannical stage mothers and the daughters she both champions and cripples. Yeah, as a showcase for a classic Julie Stein, Stephen Sondheim songs, rousing Jerome Robbins' vaudeville routine like another. Gypsy is nothing with, if not Broadway's own brassy, unlikely answer to King Lear.
Sure. Why the hell not?
Hey, if we have a musical theatre Shakespeare, it might be Sondheim. Um, like Lear, it can it speaks. Yeah, it keeps going. It speaks to you one one way when you're a child, but then chases after you to say something else when you're grown up. Likely, it cannot be done without a powerhouse performance in its marathon parental role. Miss Daly, a television actress who might seem inappropriate for the task, follows Angela Lansbury in proving that not even Ethel Merman can hold a character forever. Miss Daly is not Mrs. Merman. She's not Mrs. Lansbury. Her vocal expressiveness and attack have their limits. The warmth is pointedly not her forte, but this fiercely committed actress tears into it, by at times claws into it. Mama Rose, that pioneer woman without a frontier, with vengeance that exposes the darkness at the heart of Gypsy that hasn't been since Merman. Why did I do it? What did it get me? Daly shouts as she accelerates into her final number, the aria of the nervous breakdown titled Rose's Turn. Rose is standing on an empty stage, at last, deserted by everyone. June, her prize daughter, had tried and failed and made into a star. Louise, the unfavored daughter, who becomes Gypsy Rose Lee, queen of burlesque, in spite of the years of marital neglect. Herbie, the gentle agent who only wanted to become Rose's fourth husband. Why did Rose pursue her dream? Why did she push everyone so hard that she drove them all away? Mrs. Daly doesn't suffer the news that Rose did it for herself, just wanted to be noticed, she says a little later. But when Miss Daly is standing there crying her lungs out, demanding that the phantom audience in turn give her own spotlight, everyone's coming up roses this time for me. One is comforted by the plea of recognition. Love is so raw and naked that Rose becomes a child again in herself, begging, as Louise and June had once done, for their mama. Daly's impressive turn reflects the staging that, as directed. Toya. Yeah.
I figured I'd just let you keep going. You're on a roll. Good job.
Thank you. It's really hard to read. Daly's impressive turn reflects the staging that, as directed by Arthur Laurents, the author of the musical's books, is intent on exposing the primal family drama that always resides just beneath the bygone of a vaudeville veneer. Not that Mr. Laurents stints on the colourful surface, though much of the staging is to be familiar to those who saw the 1974 Lansbury revival, also directed by Mr. Laurents. There is no question that the new Rose radically alters the tone of the result. It works for Gypsy that Miss Daly is not glamorous, sexy, or sympathetic star. She could care less if anyone likes her or not. Rose is a monster, after all. Mrs. Daly is a true fundamental piece. Same with the fundamental piece, which is not a pleasant one. Not everyone enjoyed her as much as Frank Rich did. Frank Rich just really loves Gypsy, and you know what? We have to give it to him. We have to give it to him. Yeah, the LA Times would say, Tyne Daly, best known for starring on television's Cagney and Lacey, has taken up the challenge. She's succeeded, with one drawback. The woman is a terrific actress and even has a few Merman-esque quality. She talks through, but can bully with the rest of them in the scenes she tries to find in jobs in vaudeville for her daughters, Baby June and Louise. But as any performer playing Rose, you must do more than act. Much of Rose's fierceness and determination is expressed by song. Daly gets through the three-star numbers adequately, but misses the vocal fireworks that make them the most terrifying hymns of self-destruction and overconfidence. On the Rose comparison, so by this point there's been 3 productions and 2 pretty large looming women who had played Rose. And so it's like, what are you gonna do about it? They have, and Tyne Daly would say, Arthur Laurents would say, they're unjust. I don't need too many reviews. I've read the reviews saying that comparing Tyne to Merman, on a couple of occasions, I've said to the reviewer, how old are you? I asked them. He said 40, so you were about 10 when Merman did it. He said, I never saw her. I think there's something unfair about people having these memories for something they've never seen. For Tyne Daly, these comparisons are beside the point. Theatre to me is saved in the way that is private to the hearts of the audience, in their minds and in their memories, those unique perceptions. I hope I claim that this character as my own and becomes a part of the history of the play by adding my name to the sisterhood of actresses who have given Rose a try. You can bolster your spirit to say, I'm part of the tradition performing Rose, and now I get to borrow Judy Stein's stuff, and I can see what I can do with it, twist it. Around my personality fusses with Rose, and nobody can tell the difference. It's a wonderful chance to get to see songs every night. It's a lot of fun. See, that's how you answer a question about Rose comparisons gracefully. At Patti LuPone.
I mean, like, we're not friends.
It would be nominated for Best Actress in a Musical for Tyne Daly, Best Actor in a Featured Role for Jonathan Hardy, Best Featured Actress for Christina Moore, Best Costume Designer, and Best Revival. It would win Best Actress in a Musical for Tyne Daly and Best Revival. So it isn't also eligible for directing because, again, Arthur Laurents will not let go. He is basically doing the same staging for all these years. So, in 2003,
I was born.
many things happened. Nell was born. I wasn't alive yet. There would be a production with Sam Mendes directing. Yeah. We finally let someone else in. Finally. Who was Buzzy from his production of Cabaret. It would star Bernadette Peters with Mendes saying about her casting. One of the many reasons I wanted to do this piece was to cast someone as Rose that was closer to the Rose that actually existed. She was a tiny woman and she was a charmer, so that's Bernadette. I think the tradition of the battle axes in that role has been exploited. So basically what I'm trying to say is that there's always been like this deep competition of like who's the best Mama Rose. Yeah. And like we've all been playing into it since the 90s. And it's just kind of reached a head.
Yeah, now.
Now. In a really ugly way. It would cost $8.5 million But before it could open, it was trashed in the newspapers and internet chat rooms, with the biggest hater being, drumroll please, Arthur Laurents. According to the New York Post, at the first performance, and then like everyone else has picked up on this, so I'm like 90% sure it's true, and I think he even gave direct quotes to people. At the first performance, as soon as the curtain came down, book writer Arthur Laurents charged up the aisle, according to a source, and read Fox the Riot Act.
Incredible.
He was on fire, one source said of the famously hot-tempered Broadway veteran, when Fox suggested that the back of the Schubert Theatre was not the place to have an argument and that they wanted to discuss a show after dinner. Laurents reportedly barked, "I've eaten." And the next day...
What a guy. I think I might just let him keep directing the revival. I don't want to deal with this again.
The next day, he fired off a War and Peace packet sized of notes about the production to Mendes. Stephen Sondheim, who wrote the lyrics, was said to be unhappy with the production after composer Julie Stein's widow estate and the estate of Jerome Robbins, who directed the original 1964 production. The creators have given Mendes a wide breadth in rehearsals, sources say, kept their distance of the show until Monday. But this week, their complaints became the worst kept secret on Broadway. How the revival, which was supposed to be the big event of the spring season, has become a lightning rod of industry gossip and has nothing to say with the internet chatter. I called Laurents and asked him, after hearing how upset he was after the first preview. "I'm not saying anything," he snapped. "Gypsy's a wonderful show. This will be a wonderful production. Now goodbye."
And that's how you be diplomatic about it.
Sources say both him and Sondheim have their list of concerns, beginning with the sets, which they condemn for being too abstract. There are lots of door frames with make-believe walls. They also think that Mendes' direction lacks vigor and proper pacing. They despite the dowardly dresses that they've clothed for Peters. As for her performance, it seems to be the white elephant in their living room, especially since Laurents is the one who picked her for the role. They're not criticizing her, but neither thinks Mendes has gotten much of a performance out of her yet. So, it would eventually open on the 1st of May 2003 after 33 previews. Ben Brantley was saying for the New York Times, "You can tear down the black carp, boys, take the hearse back to the garage and start popping the champagne corks. Mama's pulled it off after all. Big time."
Icon.
I genuinely think, for a certain breed of people, Gypsy is a way of life. Playing the role that few people thought would ever fit her. I don't get why people didn't think it would fit her.
I mean, she has the right voice.
She has the right voice, and also, like, Mama Rose is kind of... they've said multiple times it's a musical comedy. Bernadette Peters is funny.
Yeah.
She was also the original witch, which is, like funny and also sinister.
I just maybe it's a thing of it's just like the other people who have played it.
Yeah.
Aren't like Bernadette Peters.
Yeah, so they're like, how dare they not resurrect Ethel Merman from the grave and like make...
We tried, guys, we tried.
Trust me, Arthur Laurents was doing seances.
He was fucking right.
He had a Ouija poured out. Playing a role that people thought would never fit her, shadowed by the vultures predicting disaster, Bernadette Peters has delivered a surprise coup of many a Broadway season in the revival of Gypsy. Miss Peters, a beloved eternal daughter of the American musical, has taken on that genre's most daunt maternal role. Working against type and expectation under the direction of Sam Mendes, Miss Peters has created one of the most complex, nuanced portraits of her long career. She may have done this in ways that deviate radically from the Merman blueprint. I just think people want Ethel Merman on that stage.
Which is fair enough. Like, is Ethel Merman.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But
Guys.
Guys,
Guys, she's dead! Also, like, guys, can we just fuck ass Gypsy?
we've just been talking too much about Weirdo for Home recently, and you just want Weirdo for Home back.
I want Widow Home back.
I think that's it.
Yeah, but I always want to see a fuck ass production of a musical though.
Can't fault you.
I'm consistent, okay? Um, and I think Sam Mendes did want to fuck ass it, but no one let him.
I'm too scared.
Let my boy get freaky.
Don't say it like that. I'll tell you right now, don't say it like that.
That was a joke. Um, the production may have seemed disappointingly status quo to those hoping there's a full-fledged reinvention of this musical, but the brassy glories of adrenaline pulping score and superbly rendered of the Jerome Robbins original choreography are here to be savored, and they won't taste like preservatives. Again, they're still doing the Jerome Robbins choreography as well. Like, someone save Gypsy from the claws of these old white men. I get it was a good show. It can still be good with other people. Other people and other creatives. It will be okay. Guys will still have the title of being King Liv.
That's someone else direct.
It'll be nominated for Best Actress in a Musical for Bernadette Peters, Best Featured Actress for Tammy Blanchard, Best Featured Actor for John Dossett, and Best Revival. It would not win any Tony Awards. Because I found a New York Post article saying that Bernadette Peters didn't win the Tony because she had a cold the week before. So weird. It would lose money.
Shockingly.
Okay, and then it would return how many years later? 5 years later, it would return, starring Patti LuPone, after a run at New York City Center. It would open at the St. James Theatre on the 27th of March, 2008. Brent Brantley would say this time. Did he say it last time? Did you do it last time? Yeah. Well, it wasn't long enough for them to change critics. Watch out, New York. Patti LuPone has found her focus, and when Miss LuPone is truly focused, she's a laser. She incinerates, especially when she's playing someone as dangerously obsessed as Mama Rose in this wallop-packing revival of Gypsy, which opened on Tuesday night at the St. James Theatre. The title character, after all, is a burlesque queen, embodied here in charmingly fresh of Laura Benanti, who obliges in the examples of the Esther's art in this is the second act. But the most transfixing stripteases of the characters is the peeling down by subjective degrees to their most primal selves. What's revealed isn't nearly as pretty as the young Minsky's dancer's body, but the raw power and silence any naysayers, and myself included, who thought 2008 was way too early for another revival of Gypsy, which has just been staged less than 5 years ago with the revelatory Bernadette Peters. 90-year-old Arthur Laurents, who directed two earlier revivals of Gypsy with Angela Lansbury and Tyne Daly, has nearly half a century to ponder what the characters he helped bring to life. The accumulation of decades have only seemed to have shaped his vision. Yes, he's back directing.
Perfect.
To right the wrongs of the Mendes revival.
Sure.
He was like, Patty, you want to do it? Patty was like, of course.
Like, on the one hand, I do think that it would be very interesting to get to continuously direct the same show over and over and over again and be like, well, this actor like brought this interpretation to the role and I really like that, so I want you to do that again. But I think they were lacking in this part. So maybe like try and explore that.
Yeah.
Like you're obviously gonna get very like developed characters.
Yeah.
But my God, just let someone else direct. We've still had all the revivals. People have watched them.
It's also like, I don't know, it's like kind of like, surely you want to create a piece and then have other people's interpretation of it happen.
Yeah, like I think arguably if you like cast someone as God, like Gypsy, Louise, and Rose at different stages in their life, that would be very interesting. How do you get to play like Rose at the end, having played the other two characters as well?
Yeah.
And I do think that he probably has some interesting points with directing.
Yeah.
But it's old. At a certain point, it gets old.
It's old. And like I've heard that like they were like they would have to like really act the scenes and it would run for like 3.5 hours because like Arthur was just like slow it down. I've written one of the best books ever written.
Can't fault a guy for being proud of his work.
Yeah, my God, like you're 90, retire. Um For here, there is very little sentimental mist here. The show's flat, scrappy look, relying heavily on the hand-painted scrims and backdrops, summons a world with a depth of torn paper, the glamour disintegrating curtains. Roses, two great numbers, everything's coming up roses, and roses turn. The darkness takes over so completely that you feel like you're watching a woman who has been peeled down to her unadorned ID. In Rose's Turn in particular, Mrs. Lapone takes you on a guided tour of all of Rose's inner demons, to sexual circums, to a shivering infant. Be warned, they will live inside your head for a while. A Great Mama Rose is usually enough for completed storytelling, but this one has much more. Mr. Laurents and the cast have applied the same careful analysis to the major characters. As a result, become we have become newly sanitized to Gypsy as such a sad story of colliding desires and people within an extended family and vanity looking for love, for security, for recognition, for each other. This production makes us painfully aware of the toll executed by repeatedly missed connections. At the Tony Awards, it would be nominated for Best Actress for Patti LuPone, Best Featured Actor for Boyd Gaines, Best Featured Actress for Laura Benanti, Best Costume Design, Best Director for Arthur Laurents. How is he eligible?
Who even knows?
He was like, guys, it's a new production. Promise.
Guys, it's completely different from the other 10 times I've directed it.
Promise. And Best Revival. It would win Best Actress for Patti LuPone, Best Featured Actor for Boyd Gaines, and Best Featured Actress for Laura Benanti. I love you, Laura Benanti.
At a certain point, the lack of wins for Best Direction must sort of like paint a picture. Like at a certain point, you'd be like, hold on, guys. When we keep letting the same guy direct, we're not winning Best Direction.
He owns the rights. So he's like... He was a motherfucker.
I'm getting together.
All I'm saying is that we're all glad he died before the West Side Story remake happened. Because it would not have been like that with him there. Probably. He would never have let the current revival of Gypsy happen.
No.
I hope he's rolling in his grave. I hope he's unnerved by it. On the night of her last performance, there will be a photographer there to take photos in the audience, with a reporter saying about it in 2017. When TBT, this is an Instagram post I found. When Patti LuPone stopped the show to yell at me, I was on assignment for New York Mag. Why are New York Magazine always at the scene of the crime? To photograph Patti LuPone's last performance in Gypsy, I came the day before to scout out the theatre and figure out timing. I was mistaken as an audience member, and Patti stopped the show mid-song and started screaming. It was top 5 most mortifying experience. She realised afterwards it was me, and she was just as mortified. She called later that night to apologise.
So she knows how to apologise.
She has apologised, but it's not our place to accept it. This is something fun for you to talk about.
Uh-oh.
No, it actually is.
Yeah.
There'll be a production with Imelda Staunton in 2015. She's winning an Olivier for it.
Classic.
Yeah, classic Imelda. Yeah. In 2024, it will be announced that Audra McDonald will be taking on the role in a new production of Gypsy, directed by George C. Wolfe. I remember seeing people being like, I can't believe Audra's going to do Gypsy, and I was like, oh, surely that's fork, fan, and draw, guys.
Like, it was gonna happen.
Surely that was written in the cards. That was written in the stars. Because people were like, Audra's a soprano, Audra's a soprano, Rose is a belter. Okay, and I saw someone tweet this, and I was like, word. Belters have been scratching their way through soprano songs.
Yeah.
So it's only right that a soprano gets to take on some classic belter songs.
Exactly.
It's payback. And what other soprano than Audra? Come on now. Although the way that they announced it was really fun.
I do remember this.
Do you remember the flashing?
Very fond memories.
It was a great time to be on Twitter when that was going down. In the newly renovated Majestic, which is just the Phantom had just left, and George C. Wolfe came out of retirement to do this. We were all buzzed. It would open on the 29th of December 2024 and the renovated Majestic after 28 previews. Jesse Green would say for the New York Times, the revival certainly the most original of the 5 that made it to Broadway. Wonder why. Offers traditionalists not much to worry on. Granted, there's been a lot of mulling in the minutiae. The show has restored the 10-bar lead-in to the ballad Small World! Exclamation point.
Right.
You guys have got Jessie Green to use an exclamation point. Well done. Most of McDonald's keys had been raised. Sometimes mid-song. Again, exclamation point.
Overjoyed.
He's overjoyed. The famous strobe effect that magically ages other young cast members into adults has been ditched. Exclamation point. Well, yeah, because what's it? Oh, what's her name? Camille Brown is now choreographing, so they're not doing the Drew and Robbins one for again once in their lives. Finally. Of course, unavoidably, there is race. Although it would be absurd and a shame not to get Rose from McDonald, our leading musical tragedian. Again, exactly. It is true that Rose Harvick, a woman that the character is modeled on, is white. I have something to say about that. And on Broadway, at least, she's always been played by white women. Ethel Merman, like Angela Lansbury, Tyne Daly, Bernadette Peters, and Patti LuPone. So surely it meant something that Wolfe would also cast a black actress as Rose's daughter, June, who grew up to be the actress June Harvick, and Louise, who grew up to be the stripper Gypsy Rose Lee, having spent his career putting the Black American experience in the spotlight, staging shows like Caroline or Change, Shuffle Along, the Colored Museum, Wolfe seemed intent on opening the door to a new room of the musical's captious mansion. Many poured into the room prematurely, wondering how Wolfe expected the audiences to behave, that a sane Black Rose could never have dreamed of stardom for her children in the racist enclave of show business in the 1920s. The production, in effect, is his answer. 100 years later, it shows us that the dream has come true. McDonald is a star that Rose hoped for, doing a psychological striptease, showing us more of the character's rage than her predecessors. She is stupendously affecting, so if a bit imminently is the show. Wolfe's production is subversive and even surreal, sets by Santo Lorenzo that detail as little as possible. He moves the characters through encounters that have dark intensity and fragmental quality memories. Just about the only thing you're asked to see in an early scene set in Rose's father's home are a Bible and a gold plaque symbolizing that everything she hopes to escape, the other providing the means. It is in that context, I think, that the context is profoundly artificially of musical theatre, that Wolfe asks us to see the production. Race is real, but not to the point and not a solid state. When the newsboys age up, they go from black to white. To everybody who needs a musical to be a manifesto, he says definitively, along with Herbie, everybody in show business listens to anybody. Everybody in show business listens to everybody. Instead, he wants us to listen to the show itself, which scene after scene, especially song after song, provides deep complex in the joys and strippers and terrors that blurs the boundless form. I found that approach rewarding and relief, as did the cast too. McDonald will be no surprise if you've seen her in a full dramatic role. She makes a meal out of Rose's ambition, with a slight southern drawl, a dessert to glued. On the mama scale, she is appearingly crafty like Merman, but terrifying crazy like Lansbury. And well, she's both. In her scenes with Bernstein are rich, funny and regretful. Those with June, Jordan Tyson, and Louise Joy Woods are withering. Tyson's especially fierce. Wood nails the descriptive effect of a girl perpetually unnoticed by her mother. Nor is MacDonald's vain about her voice. She lets Rose be ragged in service to the role. An unpretty part cannot be prettily sung. So Gypsy is odd that way. This brilliant score. There are no merely nice songs. June's act is deliberately awful. Awful. Louise's first ballad, Little Lamb, is though wishful, is bleak. Rose's charm songs are Betty's seductions. Um, on occasion, I found myself recalling moments that moved me or thrilled me more than earlier productions, just as I did when I saw the productions in the first place. Gypsy, like other great works of the mid-century American drama, opened in the same season as Lorraine's Hansberry Raisin in the Sun, rewards a layering of lifetime impressions. Wolf offers a new rich layer, sufficient in itself, more so a part of history. Most important, he is giving us a way of seeing a star who we've always seen in this role. Gypsy, he suggests, and MacDonald keeps providing a pioneer woman that needs a frontier. Vulture by Sarah Holden would say. Six-time Tony Award winner Audra McDonald shoulders a big handbag and a small dog as she stumps down the aisle at the top of the George C. Wolfe revival to thunderous applause, and she earns it. The production as a whole, less convincingly so. That is not that Audra McDonald's co-stars can't run with her. They can, especially Jordan Tyson, who, as June's second daughter, June, the talented baby, on which her mother's hopes for fame are and fortune are pinned, and Danny Bernstein, who with total ease steps into the slightly shabby three-piece suits of Herbie. The agent who takes on Rose's act wishes that he could get her heart to begin. As Louise, who evolves from a wallflower to a costume stitcher, the highest paid in all of burlesque, Joy Woods makes a softer impression. It's a tough role, again. You're the title, but not quite the star. Here, Bernstein gets billed before Woods and bows after her, which feels a little off. And you've got to play along, mostly internal arc, reeling from the majority of the 3-hour show. And then you've, of course, got a roughly 5-minute long monologue, bustling magnificently and believably into bloom. Woods never quite blows the roof off of the striptease climax, despite the energies of Santo Laurent and Tony Leslie James costumes, who cycle her through spanningly grounds and Josephine Baker-esque imitates, ultimately surround her with lavish Garden of Eden diorama that looks like what you'd see if you get Busby Berkeley hired Henry Rosenhue. Instead, her most striking moments come at her quietest. Much of the earlier show hurdled and spotlit in the corner. Woods sings Little Lamb, a sweet, mournful tune which she shares her stuffed animals that she has forgotten her birthday. The song is hardly over 2 minutes long, but it might be Sondheim's most earnest and unabandoned lyrics, and Woods finds all of its tastefulness, beauty, and ache. Though Wolfe isn't double underlined in his production, the reality of MacDonald being the first Black Rose on Broadway also finds a full manifestation of the knot of her defense and rage in her Rose's turn. It is impossible not to remember this woman shoving her lighter-skinned, lighter-haired daughter into the spotlight, then smacking a blonde rig on her remaining daughter when her baby runs away. Or not to think back what happens in the dance montage where we watched her girls grow up, spontaneously witnessed 3 young black boys who had been performing with Baby June and her newsboys get switched out for 3 grown-up white boys, all flashing collegiate smiles. It's awful to recall the staggering act's ability to find booking in Texas to hear the echo of Rose saying, "They're too damn un-American in this town here. There's trouble. We better go up north." Suddenly, those same words land as a code. Vaudeville might be dying, but no longer, but that's no longer the only reason the act is doomed. Wolfe and MacDonald don't overstate it. Rose is a black woman with a black family and ambitions in a white world as a new layer of tragedy and Rose's turn, new layers of both pain and guilt. Wolf's gypsies may flicker, but Rose's grows like a furnace at its center. Synopsis time.
Oh my God. Gypsy Rose Lee was the world's most famous striptease artist, Mama Rose, the ultimate stage mother. Follow their extraordinary story in the timeless musical about sex, power, and longing. Short and sweet, to the point.
It's like one of those things where it's like, how do you why bother explaining it so much? Because Gypsy has really entered the lexicon of just like things people know.
Yeah. I think in like a modern day, it's obviously gonna have like the connotations of like, I mean, first and foremost, for us, like dance mums.
I was thinking about Abby Lee Miller
Yeah.
while I was putting this together.
But also just like influencers and
Like,
like mummy vloggers.
here's the thing. I think Gypsy might actually be one of the most current old musicals today.
It's like when people call it, when people call most musicals timeless, I'm like, well, you know, it is, it's
Like
time.
it's some of it like Andrew Webber in the 80s.
Like, I think there's a difference between something being timeless because it's good. Like, I think something like The Phantom of the Opera is timeless because it's a good fucking
And you can
musical.
watch it anytime and be like, I'm having a good time.
Yeah. But ultimately, you're watching, you're like, this is from the 80s. And
Hmm.
I can tell that this is from the 80s. It doesn't make it bad, but there are things about it that are from the 80s. In part, that might be it's a mega musical,
Yeah.
and a lot of the like things about it.
Starlight Express. Like a musical.
Yeah, all the same. There are parts of it that are from the 80s, and that's
Even like Oklahoma, where you kind of have to work or like get a Daniel Fish in to make you see the timelessness because it's not so apparent to you on first glance.
yeah. Whereas I think with Gypsy,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like the
Like,
story is timeless.
especially
But like the
nowadays.
themes are timeless.
Because it's like we have never been more obsessed with making children stars for some
Yeah.
fucking reason, even though we know what it does to us.
Because I think you have, I mean, for us, we have again like
Dance.
child influencers,
Mhm.
dance mums, mum
I
bloggers.
I heard someone say that like Jamie Lloyd's revival of Gypsy will be um Abby Lee Miller as Mama Rose and like Maddie and Mackenzie as Lil June as Baby June and wait, no, I'm doing this right. Brooke will be Louise
Okay.
and Maddie Ziegler will be June.
I think the thing is that, first of all, obviously we're joking.
Yeah, we're joking.
They would never go back.
No. Also, Abby Lee Miller does not have talent. Yeah. She's one woman who I'm like, never let her do her Mama Rose.
But it's that there's clearly a comparison. And I think
Yeah.
like historically you still have like God, Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple was also on the vaudeville circuit. Judy Garland was on the vaudeville circuit. Um, who else do you have? I mean, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
You have her. You have Jeanette McCurdy. I'm glad my mum died. Um, and then you have like this new wave of I mean the Dance Moms reunion was just a fascinating case for
Yeah.
this. And then you also have what was that Netflix documentary that just came out about the Piper Rockell?
Yeah.
Like Under the Influence or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
But throughout history we are constantly seeing these stories of mothers push and it normally is mothers
Yeah.
pushing their children to be stars. And we often wonder why. Why? And I mean, we were having this conversation about Harry Potter
Oh yeah.
with the series
Yeah,
announcement
like
and the
how
children.
why would you let your kids get
Why
themselves
would
into
you?
that when you know
Yeah,
how much backlash they're gonna get?
Gypsy almost answers that question.
Yeah. You know, all press is good press.
All press is good press, and sometimes we do. sometimes people miss their shots and so they just project it onto their children and they like live through their children to be the best versions of themselves because they feel like they've missed out on something.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's very well done.
It's a great show.
Like, you can't listen to Rose's Turn and not feel something.
I think that's one of the best things is that talking about it like in theory
Yeah.
is you're like, oh well, you would never like Mama Rose.
No.
Like she's an evil
She's an
character.
evil woman.
But then you have Rose's Turn is the obvious one, but I think a lot of her, not even songs, but just scenes,
Hmm.
just who she is on that stage, you're like, fuck, I do kind of get it.
She makes you see it. She's like, hey guys, I'm gonna be a star and no one. There's also like the idea of like once you're famous, you have no problems and your life is perfect.
Yeah, it does really seem like things will be good. I need things to be good for my children, and
Yeah.
a bit of hardship will be worth it when they have all of this money and anything they could ever want
Yeah,
once they're
I mean, she said
famous.
she's like, well, I did it for you. Where would you be, Miss Gypsy Rose Lee?
Yeah.
And the whole thing is that Gypsy Rose Lee was ultimately very successful. She was the queen of burlesque. Her
Yeah.
name lives on.
Yeah.
But it asks us the question of was it all worth it? And it kind of wants to say no, even though both daughters lived a life on the stage and seemed quite happy there.
It just seems like was it worth it at like their family gets completely destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, we said earlier, or you said earlier,
Mm.
I should say,
Mm.
that like um Louise was like, I kind of don't like how I'm being portrayed
Yeah.
in this story.
Yeah.
Which this is going to test how I don't know much about the actual real, like Louise and Gypsy Rose.
I know a bit more probably.
But I'm not going to tell anyone what Esme has just pulled up on her phone, but
Well,
I will say it's
I want
hilarious.
to check something because they change the ending
Yeah.
every so often and they make it like they um in some revivals they have Rose and Louise walk off together. In some revivals she's left by herself. So I wanted to see when they invoke that change.
Yeah. But
That's what I wanted to. That's why I put
she
Gypsy in
pulled up the
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia page for the Gypsy
Yeah,
musical.
so literally there's like a note. So after her mission to Louise, mother and daughter tentatively reconnect and move towards reconciliation. Whereas in the 1974 revival and 2008 revival, although there is final dialogue remains, there is not a happy ending. Rather bleak, as all hopes of reconciliation for Rose and Louise fall flat when Louise walks away laughing sarcastically at Rose's new dream. 2003, the final dialogue remains, but leaves the audience with a more open interpretation. Imelda Staunton rival says Louise begins to walk out, but Rose catches up to her after waking up to reality. Louise puts her arms around Rose and they exit together. Whereas in the current revival, Rose and Louise embrace and exit the stage arm in arm.
Mm. Because I guess my thing would be like, it's not only with their mother, it's with each other that the relationship gets strained.
What Rose and
Yeah.
Gypsy and June.
Yeah.
Yeah, they in real life had a very on and off again relationship up until Gypsy dies of lung cancer suddenly.
Yeah.
Because they could just never see eye to eye on the way that they were brought up.
Yeah.
And even like in interviews when they're both dead and like June is the only one living to tell their tales still, she's very much like, I didn't want to be like them.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like them anymore.
I think it is just one of those shows and stories in general
Mm.
where it's obviously based on a very real story,
Hmm.
but it's again like timeless is just the best word for it, and like universal.
Yeah, I mean, people have called it the Great American Musical, and I can understand why, just based on the subject matter, because all of those like things we just named, um, are deeply American, like are quite American concepts. And I'm not saying like we don't have mummy bloggers over here and we don't have like children being exploited over here. We do,
Yeah.
but it feels like such an American story.
I think it's more this idea of like the ambition
Yes.
of like there
the
being
gutsiness
yeah,
of
like
I'm gonna be a star.
yeah, and like oh, there is even like the softer side of like there is a better life. I will find it. It's very American dreamy.
It is very much. I mean, everything's an exploration of
Everything's
the
American
American
dream.
dream if you look hard enough. But I do think Gypsy is, and I really enjoy what George C. Wolfe is doing with the current production and
Yeah,
the race element of casting. And I think it is like we are in an age of colorblind casting. Again, I'm not going to have that debate.
yeah.
I am so pale, my skin turns to red if I go outside. Not joking. Um, but if we are going to do colorblind casting, can we move to color conscious
Yeah, I have to
casting?
think of it's not that the fact that they're black isn't important, it's that it is very, very important because it shows a different element to the story and it
And
makes you focus on different things.
and George C. Wolfe is definitely the director to do that because he's devoted to, as the reviews say, he's devoted his entire career to doing that. I mean, he also did like Jelly Fast Jam, in which he had black. I'm gonna triple check that he did do Jelly Fast Jam, but he had black performers do whiteface.
Mm.
Um,
It sounds right that he did that.
oh yeah, musical by a play by George C. Wolfe.
Yeah.
So yes, he definitely did that. He was very involved in it. And like even when the casting breakdown came out and they put out their casting for Louise and June, and they were like, we're looking for a lighter skinned actress to play Louise versus June, because that has an entirely different angle to the story
Yeah.
and why the favoritism happens. Because that's another thing that the real life June took issue with, being like, you guys portrayed me as not very talented, and I'm talented. And again, that kind of gets around that by adding an extra element without changing a word of the script or messing
Yeah.
with anything else. And that's how you keep these things current.
Yeah. And I think it also adds it in a way where it's not that it was even necessarily like purposeful.
No,
Like it's not like she's going, well, I have to favor my younger daughter because she looks more white. It's naturally, naturally isn't the right word there. But in this society,
in the 1920s, and you could still argue today.
yeah,
You could say today, and I'd be like, yeah, facts, okay,
yeah.
that, yeah.
But in this society, a lighter skinned young performer is going to go up.
Who I can slap a blonde wig on, surround her by white boys,
Yeah, is going to go over better.
and I can send her out on the road
Not even better, easier.
easier, and I can make more money from her.
Yeah, that's my best shot at fame.
And she can be a bigger star, and she can have everything in life that I never did
Yeah.
because of my skin color. And I'm glad it wasn't unaddressed.
Yeah.
And I didn't ever think it was going to be unaddressed. And I think it could have been so easy, just like some random, like haphazardly, and even like the references to Josephine Baker in Gypsy Rose's strip is very interesting to me. Like that's again, it's one of those things where like if you know, you know, and if you're paying enough attention, you do. But if you don't, then you still enjoy Gypsy for the masterclass it is.
Yeah. I think these are kind of my final thoughts on it. So I'll save this if you have anything else to say.
Stop the rose comparisons. We're going to talk about them in a minute again, but it also like slams, like Gypsy kind of slams. Like
It's just such a good musical that there isn't anyone to say on it, but you're like, you guys are doing really well.
no, it's really good. There's a hot take. Audra McDonald is one of the greatest people living. Like no one thinks that. Actually, unfortunately, some people think that's a hot take.
Let's talk about Patti LuPone.
Do you have a final thought?
That was it.
That was it, okay.
It's really good.
It's really good.
It's
Like
kind of hard to talk about because
it's
like
funny. It's so funny. I enjoy it. I was putting fuck off.
What? I'm sorry.
Sorry, guys.
Pictures of Rachel Zegler and Evita just came out, and Esme's going to be really locked in for a second.
Oh, oh, fuck off, Benson Boone.
Let's finish this damn episode. I want my fucking
My
pizza.
God. I can.
I want my fucking pizza. Let's finish this episode.
Guys, Rachel was like, we are going to be stood outside the Palladium a lot, then,
Yeah,
aren't we?
we are.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
Anyway, um,
It was nominated
for Best Rival, Best Choreography, Best Actress for Audrey McDonald, Best Featured Actress for Joy Woods, Best Supporting Actor for Danny Bernstein. And, you know, the debate has been, basically, since this was announced, who's going to get the Tony? Who's even going to get nominated?
Audrey or Nicole.
Audrey or Nicole, our dear friends. This is where the joke of Audrey and Nicole, our dear friends, came from.
Yeah.
Putting together these episodes. And how do I want to start?
Patti LuPone did an interview.
Yeah. Shot her around the world.
And it was kind of it sorry, Hamilton is on my mind, so I was gonna make a comparison. I was like, It's very much like the people that are asking to hear my voice. The country is facing a difficult choice.
But someone was kind of asking, though. It wasn't.
But it was it was oh, there is a very famous Broadway diva who has played both of these roles, who has been in both Sunset Boulevard and Gypsy.
Yeah, but it was like people were more intrigued to see what she said about Sunset because it was such a reinvention, and she obviously hates Andrew Lloyd Webber.
But I think it'd be one of those things. Like, I think it'd be really funny if she was like, I think that like Audrey should win.
Yeah.
Because I think that Gypsy is a harder show to do than Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah,
or I think that Nicole should win because Sunset Boulevard is so much more emotionally draining because of who the character is.
Yeah.
All of that. Like, I think that's an interesting take.
Why we were expecting like a diplomatic response from Patti LuPone.
And I think even there would have been a way for her to be funny for that, of being like, I think that Audrey should win because Andrew Lloyd Webber doesn't need another Tony.
Because we shouldn't. I love to be like, I love Nicole, but Sunset should never get another Tony in its life. You know, Audrey should get it because take it from me, Gypsy's a mammoth marathon.
Yeah, or even simultaneously, like, I think Nicole should get it because there needs to be something good to happen to Sunset Boulevard. Like, there was a way for her to do it while still maintaining that diva persona she had.
And instead, I like it. Me and I were talking about this yesterday. We have like as a community, we have allowed Patti LuPone to get to the point where she felt like what she was saying in that New Yorker article was acceptable to say to a journalist, and she thought we were all going to sit around and go, "Oh my God, Patti's being a diva, love her." But instead, I read that and I was like, "Oh, I feel like she's gone.
Yeah, she's crossed the line.
She's blonde and gone. Like, what?" Sorry, another Tom Francis update bang I just dropped. Tom Francis update.
You're the love of my
Tom Francis updates. If you would like to come on the podcast, let us know.
God.
We have some open weeks coming up.
My icon. Wait, we were saying this last night, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was doing notes and I was like, when are we talking about Patti?
I had just finished reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Yeah.
We're about to watch a movie for the first time.
Nell's finally seen a movie that Rachel Zegler's in.
Seen Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The movie was really good. Rachel Zegler, I love you. I loved you before. I'd never seen you in anything before apart from your YouTube videos, but I loved you before. But now I love you even more. But I said the absolute best case scenario from that interview is that she comes across as outdated, bitter, outdated, and ignorant because she doesn't realize that the things she is saying are specifically targeting Black women and are specifically microaggressions and just normal aggressions.
At worst, she's ignorant.
At best.
She's ignorant.
At best, she's completely ignorant and out of touch.
That's still not great. That's still something she should apologize for and clean up.
Yeah. And to even get to that point of thinking that she just comes across like that, you have to jump through a lot of hoops. Of being like this woman who has remained incredibly active in the Broadway community, which has been getting steadily more diverse and has constantly called for more education on this.
Yeah.
And online, and just in life.
It's not like she's coming down from an ivory tower where she doesn't have phone signal or she's not aware what people are saying. She's aware of everything.
Yeah. She's very active in all of these spaces.
Yeah. This I think this article was in preparation for an Emmys campaign.
Yeah, and for her to be able to do all that and then somehow to try and get us to justify that she's just ignorant is a massive leap. Because even to do that, you have to kind of suggest that she's not listening to any criticism, she's not listening to any of her fans, she's not listening to any of her peers.
Yeah, no, her peers. And she tried, like, it's also like the fact that she tries to, like, because, like, in the original video, which started all of this, Keisha Lewis was like, from one veteran to another, like, you don't do this. And Patty's response is, "You're not a veteran," which is like, huh? That's rude and demeaning, and it plays into a larger issue of not people not valuing the contributions of Black people.
To sit there to anyone and say that you are not like a veteran, you're not talented, it's ridiculous. Rude. Especially, I can't even say like in the current like climate.
It's always been wrong.
Just always.
It's always been wrong.
But like especially now to say it specifically to Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be one thing if she had said, like, I think there's a lot of people calling themselves veterans that aren't.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's snarky and a bit mean. But ultimately, you're like, diplomatic's not the right word, but you're being vague about it. Like,
yeah.
Saying, I think this person specifically is not a veteran and she's not talented enough to call herself a veteran.
Yeah.
You're saying, I think there are people on stage who might say that they're veteran actors when they really haven't done enough to justify calling themselves veteran actors. I'm like, you know what, I can't, like, you know what, you are definitely a veteran actor, and you are, you know, vaguing someone, but I can't tell you who. To specifically be like, Keisha Lewis is not a veteran actor.
And I, Patty LuPone, get to decide that.
I, Patty LuPone, and, you know, the arbiter of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And then to bring up Audra and like with the interview and be like, yeah, it's a very classic Audra. Classic Audra standing up for racism. Oh, let's burn the witch. I guess. I'm being sarcastic. I cannot stress you enough, like, how ridiculous that sentiment is. I mean, like, we're not friends. Classic Audra. Oh. Patty, you could have said, yeah, no, like me and Audra haven't, like, and Audra was like, I haven't spoken to her in 11 years. You could have said, I haven't spoken to, like...
You could get the same kind of message across with me and Audra aren't particularly close.
No, like, I haven't seen her in a while. But, like, I love Gypsy. I think it's a great musical. You don't have to be like, what a beautiful day. And some people are like, I'm gonna start saying that when people ask me about shows they don't like, guys... Why you read that article was like, I'm going to start using this in my vocabulary.
It's the thing of if all she had done in that article, everything else was civil and polite, and all she had done was when the interviewer asked, what do you think about Gypsy? Had gone, what a beautiful day. I'd be like, you know what, fair enough. That's actually a very funny thing to do. Because you have not done anything else to anybody.
It's in the context of everything else, you're like...
It's that you have purposefully gone, Keisha Lewis is not talented enough, and she is not a veteran. Audra McDonald is not a friend. Classic Audra doing all of this.
Yeah.
What do I think about Gypsy? What a beautiful day out there.
Yes, she was like on her page, and like, it was
we
like...
know what you're saying. Even if you're just a no, we would know what you're saying, but at least you're kind of polite about it.
Okay, like, you could just say, what a great musical. I had such a great time doing it. I hope Audra's having a great time.
Yeah. It is ultimately Broadway fans' fault because we've let her. If she had done this 5 years ago, I can guarantee you no one would have batted an eye. She could have done it to the exact same people with the exact same context, and no one would have batted an eye.
Yeah.
And I think that is ridiculous.
That is wrong. Yeah. And she has been rude in the past. She has made these grand sweeping statements like, I'm done with Broadway, I don't care about it anymore, and I've been like, actually, I'm coming back.
And I do think that, like, I don't know how much I want to say this, because
I can always cut it.
I don't think that she was being intentionally racist.
I
don't
think
she said that, I'm going to like this women specifically.
No, I think like I also agree with that, and I don't want it to be like I'm excusing her behavior because I'm not. But I also think because she positions herself as a Trump hater.
Yeah, and she has this long history of kind of being a bitch to everyone.
Yeah, she's like everyone loves it when I'm a bitch now, so I just get to be a bitch to everyone. It's like you can say what's on your mind, you can be a diva, but you don't have to be racist while being a diva.
Like an interview. What would you say to President Trump?
Nothing, I wouldn't perform.
Yeah. Like, we loved her for that. And I think, like, that's where I'm coming from, but I don't think she sat down and was like,
I'm gonna be racist
"No,
now.
I'm gonna target these women."
But like it's the fact that she had to be told multiple times, you've got to stop saying that. Like that is wrong, Patty. And she didn't get the message the first time. And it took this massive blowback for her to finally apologize. That I was like, come on. We get it, you're old, but like she is.
She
It's
is.
a fact. But like, come on, girl.
I do like genuinely love Patti LuPone. I think she is a very iconic performer.
She is.
She has starred in some great roles and
Yeah.
she has performed them amazingly.
Huh.
She has a long history of like being fun in interviews.
Yeah.
It's just
This was a step too far.
yeah, and not even that. It's I think this is what crossed the line for a lot of people. But it's now that she has done that, it's like, oh, the line probably should have been drawn about 20 miles back.
Yeah, we have let her do this to an extent. And I don't know, like obviously she has since apologized and like it's not our place to be like and now Audra and Keisha should accept it because like I'm not them. I'm not personally affected by this. I'm not a black woman. This is not my circus, not my monkeys to an extent. Um, but it's where we are.
Yeah. And I think my kind of final one is to try and tie it back into like Gypsy popular.
I want to talk about the Tonys for like 2 seconds
Okay.
afterwards as well, if
Um,
that helps.
yeah. I was gonna say, like, I think it's especially prevalent we've seen with Gypsy and like Mama Rose.
Yeah.
But this constant thing of trying to compare, especially actresses,
Mm-hmm.
to each other. I'm like, who did it better? Who did this one better? Who performed this like with more emotion?
Yeah.
Like technically better?
Mm-hmm.
Who sung it better?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, guys, isn't that deep? No. It's like they were all cast for a reason. Stop watching videos of Rachel Zegler on that fucking balcony and talk about Patti LuPone.
Okay. Patty, yeah, I do think we have created a perfect storm in the media for this to happen.
Yeah. If everyone wants to know who did it better, and you obviously want to go straight to the source, do you think you're better than Audra McDonald, Patti LuPone? Patti LuPone, do you think you sang
And it's like,
do you think you should get the Tony Award for your role that Nicole Scherzinger is now doing, or that Patti LuPone is now doing?
yes.
That Audra McDonald is now doing. Like, we're trying to stir up competition, obviously. And I get that it's an award show, there's obviously going to be competition.
But also, like,
but Patti LuPone's not involved.
Butt out, get a grip, go home.
And you've only asked her because you know she's going to say something out of pocket like she did.
Ultimately, like, Patty is still to blame. She should monitor her own behavior.
Yeah.
But also, there's layers to this, guys.
Yeah. I think it's kind of just like it's exposed what is like an open secret in the Broadway community.
Yeah.
That like, yes, we love to foster competition and it's not healthy, and eventually something like this was always going to happen. Where it's that actually there's been about like 50 people caught in the crossfire.
Yeah. And I just keep thinking
these three women who really do not need to have this beef.
Yeah, I also just keep thinking like why bring Keisha Lewis into this? Why bring Audra into this? Like I get it, Audra is always in this, but like them being like expanding on the point and being like, I'm gonna bring her up. I'm gonna make it known that I'm not her friend. And it's like, why? No one cares, no one asked. Go home.
Yeah. Love Gypsy.
Love Gypsy, love you, Audra. I'm gonna probably watch a clip of you in ragtime this week and cry. Yeah, that's one thing you can always count on. Do we want to quickly talk about the Tony Awards?
What happened
yesterday when this comes out? I'm putting money on it.
What?
I'm putting money on it.
Really?
No.
Okay.
In theory.
Jack Malone's winning.
1, Jack Malone's winning. 2, Audra McDonald's winning because it's Mama Rose and Gypsy and she is Audra McDonald and but Sunset Boulevard's getting Best Revival. Best director, I believe it's between Jamie Lloyd and Michael Arden.
I think maybe Happy Ending getting best musical.
Yes, I believe that with my heart and soul. Also, I wouldn't count Jasmine Amy Rogers out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would be shocked if she won in a good way.
Good. Like, I'm happily, like, here's the thing. I'm going to be happy Monday morning, no matter what.
Any category? Well, that's not true, actually. No, I'm about to say this. No, I'll pull through.
You can do it.
In
2 more minutes.
In every category,
Yeah.
there is no nominee that I would be unhappy if they won. That's not true, but in a way it is. In like a Rule Britannia way it is.
It has been a really good Broadway season.
Yeah.
Like, we have had so much of such great substance in any year. Any nominee could have been a frontrunner.
Yeah.
And it is rare that that happens. And so let's all have a good time.
Let's just enjoy it.
Let's all have a good time. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen because it's been going on for a year now. We've been having these debates of who's going to win.
I just kind of can't wait for the new season.
Or for Beetlejuice to make its grand return.
I just can't wait for Beetlejuice to win Best Environmental.
It's not going to be eligible, love. If it is, I'm losing my mind.
Why wouldn't it be eligible?
Because they might do what Sunny in the Park with George did, where they're like, we're not going to give tickets to Tony nominators because we want to keep them and make money off of them because it's a short run.
But how funny would it be if it won Best Revival?
I think that my mind goes chess.
But how funny would
Okay, it would be fucking
if
hilarious.
Chess was nominated and Beetlejuice won?
It would be fucking hilarious. But we're also, like, I'm so excited to see everyone's performances.
I hope they bring back Sophia and Caruso for Beetlejuice.
That's not happening.
Please.
Voices in your head told you that. The same voices in Nadia's head that told her Amazon Ray's opening for Lana. I'm so excited to see everyone's performances.
I'm excited for Tony Awards is the thing.
We're sad for the Tony Awards. Always, but like especially this year. And you know what? Shout out to Keisha Lewis. Shout out
to
Audra McDonald.
And shout out to Soda Scout. One bottle, one mission. Let's crack it open. Thank you for listening.
And thoughts and prayers with Tom Francis updates. As always, thoughts and prayers with Tom Francis updates.
DM us on Twitter
right now.
Let you on.
We will let you talk about whatever you want to talk about.
We will set up a meeting with Tom Francis for you to just like kill him. Anything for Tom Francis update.
We'll explain how he got so dead-eyed.
Oh my god, yeah.
We know why he's so dead-eyed, and we really do love Tom Francis. He's very talented.
Yeah.
And it works for Gypsy. It works for Sunset, sorry. Next week we'll be debriefing the Tonys and the subsequent news cycle that happens as a result. Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Also on social medias.